What's going on, everybody? It is Monday, August 27th. 7-game slate on our hands. Jake and I are back once again, as if you didn't get enough of us last week. Here we are again today. I'm kind of excited about this slate for reasons I can't really figure out. But I feel like we haven't had a nice 7-gamer in a while. I feel like I only play either 4-game slates or 14-game slates. So I like it. I'm super deep on 4 teams, and I'm super deep on 4 pitchers. I hope they all hit. Jake, how's your weekend?
The weekend was fine. I didn't make a lot of money playing DFS, but it was fine otherwise. I don't know. How did yours go as far as DFS?
I was up yesterday. Unfortunately, I was down on Saturday. I wasn't planning on playing on Saturday at all. And then I saw someone somewhere mention there was a lot of overlay on FanDuel. So I maxed, I don't know, like some $8 tourney with like 100-ish entry cap. I was like, okay, I'm taking a shot at this because the overlay was like 15-20%. So I still couldn't even get to where I needed to be. At one point during the tournament, Tom had 9 of the top 10 lines.
Really?
Yeah, it was just one dude at like 6th and a giant Tom sandwich. But I didn't come out of that. Like, I thought I was going to come out of that decent. Just couldn't get it done. But yesterday was profitable, so I'll take it. Decent weekend. Good enough.
Did Tom bank it?
No, I mean, it all went to crap. But this was at like an hour and a half in that he had a shot.
Typical.
Yeah. Let's just dive in because the first game is a game that we're going to need to talk about quite a bit.
Yeah.
Blue Jays and Orioles. Blue Jays 5.1 run implied total. Orioles 4.4. It's a 57% chance to win for the Jays. Sam Gaviglio going for Toronto. David Hess going for Baltimore. Pitching, not my favorite really in this game. I have some Gaviglio. We're projecting 9% right now. I've got 13. I'm not on Hess. Everything for me in this game is bats. So I guess we should start with the pitching. Are you going to get to Gaviglio at all? We'll start there.
I mean, I see why people want to get to Gaviglio. He pitches better at home. I'm sorry. Yeah, he pitches better at home. So I'm going to try to make the case for not playing Gaviglio. There's some speed in this Baltimore lineup, mostly just VR, but he could get on and swipe second and third pretty easily against Gaviglio because he's so bad at holding runners, struggles against lefties. They've got a few in there if Mullins leads off, then VR. Chris Davis, I mean, you know what you think of these guys, but they're at least left-handed bats, and Gaviglio has huge splits. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not in love with Gaviglio at 7K, certainly not just locking him in. And I think he's going to be pretty decently owned, so I'm probably going to be on the other side of that.
Okay. I can't get to Hess. I think he is super, super atrocious. So I'm actually a little surprised at how little the Blue Jays are projected to be owned. I have double the field. We have 9% aggregate on DK. I've got 20. I'm full on destroying McKinney, Travis, Smoke, and Grichuk. I'll have some Morales, but I'm not riding the Morales is going to homer every day for the rest of his life train.
Yeah, Hess just had – I mean, both these guys just had good starts against the opposing team.
Yeah.
So Hess, 10% swinging strike rate. The chase rate was really good. Now he gets to go back home. That was one of his best starts of the season, just looking at plate discipline stuff. I don't think Hess is that bad. I've kind of been saying that for a while. Like, he's not going to be very good against lefties, but 5 righties at the bottom of this lineup in a row. I mean, if Morales isn't going to homer every day, then it looks like a pretty decent matchup once again, and he just had a good start in it. So I have no issue with Hess for 4,400 at what we have is very, very little ownership.
Yeah. Does the run total scare you at all?
I mean, a little bit, but that's probably as much to do with Hess as it is how bad the Orioles bullpen has been. They have like the highest xFIP over the last 30 days of any bullpen. So they're just atrocious. But that doesn't mean Hess can't still have a good start.
That's true. Orioles 5th for me, both sites. I'm under the field on FanDuel, under the field on DK. Orioles really chalky, actually. Didn't realize they were going to be as chalky. Second chalkiest stack on DK, and the chalkiest stack on FanDuel. I'm not sure I totally agree with that. I don't know even how you can get to... I mean, they're cheap, so I guess that helps, but I can't imagine wanting to be over the field on the Orioles today. I'm happy to be under. I want to have some exposure because there's a... it's a decent spot, but I can't imagine them being the chalk stack on FanDuel.
It's just going to be mostly VR and Mullins if he's in there for me. I get why someone would want to play Chris Davis in this matchup. Like, this is a pretty good spot for him against a guy who struggles with lefty power. But, man, $3,600 for Chris Davis. It takes up your first base spot. There's just so many better options than him, and he could easily strike out 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I'd rather have both first basemen for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of Chris Davis, but I prefer Morales and Smoke.
Yuli or Lourdes Jr.
I have way more Chris Davis on FanDuel where he's 2,300 too. So
yeah,
at that price point, I'll take those chances. Yeah, I'm in this weird state where I have a lot of the Orioles, but I can't totally ride that chalk. It's too much.
Yeah, I don't really like it at chalk. I mean,
would you have expected the Orioles to be higher owned than the Blue Jays?
No. I mean, just run total alone, and then people like playing Gaviglio, and people hate Hess. So I would figure Toronto would be the chalkier team, but
right.
I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, so I hope that holds. I'd love to have a lot of leverage over the field on the Jays, and I'd like to have reverse leverage to the Orioles. I'm really happy with the way that this exposure is popping out for me. Yeah. I just don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, because when the Orioles smack the Jays, it's going to suck.
Well, they could certainly smack Gaviglio.
Yeah. So. Oh, absolutely. Favorite bat in this game, either side?
VR. It's not really close. And it's not even really the bat. It's the stolen base matchup is so good if he gets on against Gaviglio.
Okay.
What about you? McKinney? McKinney's been raking.
It's probably McKinney. So I don't even want to say this out loud because I feel like people just shut off the stream. We have McKinney projected for 5% ownership on FanDuel, 3% ownership on DK. Those two numbers feel very low to me right now. I've got 45% on FanDuel and 38% on DK. I'm like 9 times the field at least. No, yeah, on FanDuel, 9 times the field, 10 plus times the field on DK.
Wow.
That's what happens when you have a 5-run implied total. You got a lefty-righty matchup. You're leading off, and David Hess projects to have a 6 FIP. Like, it's just every single, and 2,800 on FanDuel, 3,900 on DK. All those things just create massive, massive ownership. I will adjust that slightly because I won't need to have that much leverage over the field. But I'm still going to be miles above for McKinney. So, yeah, it is McKinney for me.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's probably my favorite on the Blue Jays side, too.
There we go. Anything else you want to touch on here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
To the Nats we go. Nats and Phillies. Nationals, 4.6 run implied total. Phillies, 4.2. The 55% chance to win for the Nats. Steven Strasburg going for Washington. Zach Eflin going for Philadelphia. So Strasburg, 33% ownership. I'm a little nervous about it. It's also what I got on my first crunch. I need to dig into his most recent game log and try to take a peek at it because I'm not really comfortable having him right now. I don't necessarily trust his health. You mentioned that previous to us starting this show. What's going to be your stance on Strasburg?
Yeah, right now, I mean, I'm looking at a full fade. I mean, 33% of a guy at 9K who it's not a perfect matchup. Like the strikeouts are pretty decent, but there's still a lot of power in this Phillies lineup. And then you throw in the fact that I think Strasburg is still nursing an injury. So his velocity was down 2 miles an hour on pretty much all of his pitches, besides his changeup and his cutter, but that was still down. So that's kind of normal coming back from an injury, long layoff, but still concerns me. So, I mean, if he's not right here, you can't play him for 9,100. And I don't know for a fact that he's not right, but the velocity down that much, especially on the fastball,
Yeah.
it is pretty concerning. So I'm looking at a fade, and I actually like Santana and Rhys Hoskins and Wilson Ramos. So I don't know. People are mentioning that he might be broken as well. There's a lot of red flags here for Strasburg, and people are going to get on him because of that price. And I just like Tanaka and Cole, but they're not really the same price range. I think I'd rather take a shot at Syndergaard at really low ownership.
I'm starting to think that I want to lean that direction. I'm having trouble like reconciling what I actually think about his last start. So he got 5 Ks in the 4 innings, but he got touched up. 7 hits, 2 dongs. From a BABIP type perspective, he was fine.
Right. I mean, so he also threw, like, he was getting ahead of hitters.
Yeah.
74% first pitch strike rate, and he couldn't miss bats still. So, like, 7% swinging strike rate. I know it's just one start, but it is really concerning for me. I don't know. It looks like he was getting a lot of his strikes and strikeouts from guys just taking pitches and guessing on them because his Z swing rate was really low. I don't know. At 33%, it's pretty easy for me to be under the field or at 0 Strasburg, especially because there's so many other options I like better. I mean, I like Gray way better than Strasburg. So
I think go ahead. Sorry
No,
for
go
stepping on you. I was just going to say, I think that this is the perfect example of seeing a situation. What are the chances that Strasburg actually is a problem tonight? Positively, if you fade him. I feel like it's lower than it's ever been. For him to put you in a position where you cannot win doesn't seem like it's possible today.
I mean, I agree. That's why it's so much easier.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys that I prefer around his price range by pretty wide margins.
The downside seems so much bigger than the upside.
Yeah. And it's over 80 degrees here. A little bit of wind blowing out, too. It's not even that great of a spot.
It's really not. I think that I'm going to end up nerfing Strasburg pretty aggressively by the time lock comes. Peter Liu in the chat. If Strasburg has no pitch count today, probably the best opportunity to use him. I mean, if he's 33%, I think that's the telling sign. I don't like that.
I don't like that. I can't play a pitcher if I don't know that he's healthy. So,
I mean, obviously Tanaka is already similarly chalk. John Gray quite chalky, so I guess that's an alternative there. No one is going to Syndergaard right now. No one is going to Rodon. No one is going to Lester. No one going to Eflin. Yeah, I'm at a point where I don't necessarily trust him. And if he were 12% owned, then I'd be fine having that. But if he's 33, I think it's a pretty natural spot to fade. I just don't know if I want to be like how much Phillies I want on the opposite side of that. Are you getting to the Phillies at all?
Yeah, Santana, Ramos, Hoskins. I even like Esteban Cabrera and Nick Williams as fillers in a 5-in stack. So, I mean, like, if he's not right, I have to believe that it's going to be a pretty quick outing, and he's going to get hurt with power if he gets out early. So I'm just taking all the power bats 2 through 6, really, and hoping I'm on the right side of things with Strasburg possible injury.
Yeah, for right now, I'm leaning towards putting an ownership cap on Strasburg well below where I have him now, and maybe forcing in an extra line or two of the Phillies. Because I didn't get to the Phillies at all on my first crunch, but that makes perfect sense to me. If I'm going to have a lot of Strasburg, I doubt I'm going to get to the Phillies.
Right.
Are you looking at Eflin at all?
No. I mean, Eflin is a guy that I respect in that I don't target a ton of bats against him. He strikes guys out around average overall, decent xFIP, all that stuff, and then doesn't allow a ton of hard contact, under 30% from the season. And Harper is probable for this game. Is that right? He's going to play.
I would have been. I mean, he had a pinch hit dong last night, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So he came in yesterday. So Harper and Soto I like a lot as one-offs, but Eflin's not a guy I just auto stack against. So I am not going to be on the Nats full stack here.
Okay, so we're different there. Nats, number 2 stack for me on FanDuel, number 3 on DraftKings. I'm loading them up once again. Obviously, they went insane in the 8th and 9th yesterday. It was a 1-0 ball game, and then all of a sudden I pulled up the box score again. It was 15 bonk, so I didn't see that coming, nor did probably anyone else. Yeah, I'm double the field on the Nats. Lots of Trey Turner, lots of Harper, Rendon, Soto. I'm getting most of the lineup. I don't normally like going against Eflin either. He's another one of those guys that are probably a better real-life pitcher than he is a fantasy pitcher. Yeah. I like the pricing here. Like Rendon at 4,200, that's really cheap. Turner back down to 4,700, I like that. You know, if Harper's 51, I'll happily go that direction. So yeah, I'm on Team Nats today. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I think they're just pretty easy to fit in. I think they're going to be a little bit higher owned than I want. Besides those 2 guys, Harper and Soto, I don't mind playing them at decent ownership.
Sure. Yeah, anybody with that kind of power ownership kind of gets transcended a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll keep you guys posted tonight during the live stream on my thoughts on Strasburg, but I'm now leaning pretty heavily towards getting away from him.
That cup is big as Jake's head. Yeah, I know. It's like a double cup. This is all I have. I don't have any thermoses or anything, so just gotta go with the double cup.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
White Sox and Yankees. White Sox, 3.4 run implied total. Yankees. Any of those new totals out? Nope. Yankees, 5.1. It's a 67% chance to win for the Yanks. Carlos Rodon going for Chicago. Masahiro Tanaka going for New York. Tanaka, pretty clearly my favorite pitcher of the day. We're projecting 31% ownership on DK, 14% on FanDuel. I'm quite above that on DraftKings, 47%. I believe that is my ownership cap. Nope, 56%. Okay. I've got a lot of Tanaka, as I expected in the night shift last night. It's the White Sox. They strike out like it's literally their job to do so. And I want to have a part of that. So give me all of the Tanaka. I'll happily eat the chalk and be way above the field.
Yeah. Are you worried at all about like Tanaka's recent results? They haven't been that great. The last 2 starts have been fine, but you haven't really seen an upside start from him. That's like the only hole I can poke in Tanaka. Everything else looks good. Like his plate discipline numbers look fine. The matchup's obviously great. He's at home. Like he's priced fine to me, and people are going to play Strasburg even better. Takes ownership away from Tanaka. So are you worried about him at all? Like, is there anything we should be worried about with him?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. I just wanted to see if maybe you came across something that was holding you back from just playing a bunch of Tanaka, because he's the much easier play than Strasburg, in my opinion, at home. White Sox strike out over 26% of the time over the last month against righties, over 25% for the season. Those are both top 3 numbers in their time spans. And he's getting whiffs and chases. So I have to believe that Tanaka's fine. They let him go pretty deep, like get around 100 pitches. and he can be efficient against this team. They just give away at bats. They have the highest swinging strike percentage in the MLB this year. Moncada strikes out a ton. Davidson, Polka too. And you get good old Adam Engel there at the bottom. I don't know. It just seems like such a good matchup. I don't know why people would want to play Strasburg over Tanaka.
Yeah, I can't imagine going to Strasburg over Tanaka. Even if I thought Strasburg was in a good spot, like I'd much prefer Tanaka. The White Sox matchup is the dream matchup for every pitcher every single day.
Yeah, so many strikeouts.
Any Rodon for you?
No, I mean, I don't usually play lefties going into Yankee Stadium. They've been demolished this year.
Yeah, 9 righties today, so lucky them.
So Rodon is fine, but he's overpriced at 8,500.
Yeah,
really tough spot. 5.5 run total. That probably has to do a lot with the bullpen. He's looked good and had good results, but Yankees 117 WRC plus on the season at home against lefties, 337 on base percentage, 212 ISO. That's the highest in that split by a wide margin. I know they don't have all the guys healthy, but those top 4 are still really scary. So that's where I want to go with the Yankees, the top 4. And then I'll mix in Voit and the catcher, 3,300. I can't pronounce his name. Higashioka.
Probably correct.
I like Neil Walker from the left side, so probably going to hold off on a ton of him, but he's only 3,300. So the stack just makes a ton of sense on DK.
Yeah. Circling back to Rodon, I have none. We're projecting none. And similarly, I don't have any White Sox of value, and no one's on them either. Yankees 6 stack for me on FanDuel, slightly over the field. Number 2 on DraftKings, slightly over the field. I have basically everybody on the Yankees side on DK, but little amounts of Andahar and Torres on FanDuel. They're a little overpriced for me, so if I'm just like ranking out Yankees, it's Stanton for me as a clear number 1. Neil Walker, Luke Voit, both guys that I'm getting a lot of. Voit in particular on FanDuel at minimum salary is kind of unavoidable. Unavoidable. It's gonna be one of those days. I like it. The Yankees look great here. I said it last night on the night shift, but eventually Rodon is just going to break under those righties. It's just too many over and over and over again. And the 5.1 run implied total, kind of backs that up. They look like they're in a really nice spot, and I want to have them. So
I'm seeing 5.5 for the Yankees.
Oh,
so I think you're going to like them even more.
Yeah, I will.
That. I mean, yeah, just those top 4, man.
Oh yeah, it's up to a 9 total.
Yeah, 9 total.
It was 8.5 this morning when I loaded it up. So excellent. Yeah, I like the Yankees even more. Now Voit is even more unavoidable.
He's a righty with some power up against the lefty in Yankee Stadium. It's pretty good. And then you get to bat behind Stanton, Torres, Andahar, Hicks, Walker.
And you're as cheap as you could possibly be.
Yeah. Pretty good spot on both sides. I mean, he's pretty cheap on DK as well.
That run total going up will push my Yankee stack up on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think they're one of my favorite stacks on the night. Top 3 for sure.
Agreed. I wrote them up in Spotlight. No, I didn't. I will. I should have with that line change. I would have.
Things changed out today. That's it.
Yeah, that's why I go live at 6:00. Yeah, T McBee, you're absolutely right. When you start with a pun like that, it can only get better from there. Moving on to a favorite stack of mine that unfortunately is chalkier than I wanted them to be. Mets and Cubs. Okay, so we're guessing on this line right now. It hasn't come out yet. It'll probably come out by the time we're done this show. I have it in at 10. Where do you think that stands?
That's what I was thinking too. 10.
I find it hard to believe to go much higher than that with Syndergaard and Lester.
Dude, there is 17-mile-an-hour winds out to left center. 85 degrees. It might be higher, honestly, but you're probably right. 10 seems like a pretty decent number.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Like if it was 11, I would just be like, oh, okay. Like this weather's crazy in Wrigley.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going with 10, which gives us 4.6 run implied total for the Mets, 5.4 for the Cubs, a 58% chance to win for Chicago. Noah Syndergaard going for New York. They feel like aggressively high. I don't trust this right now. Anyway, Syndergaard for the Mets, John Lester going for Chicago. Nobody's on pitching. They're super projected low owned, which makes sense on the surface if this game is going to have such a monstrous total. I like the idea of getting some Syndergaard in this scenario if the Cubs are going to be chalky, which they are, heavily owned on both sites. I didn't really get to the Cubs all that much, so I really like the idea of having some Syndergaard. Would it shock you if he mowed down 11 Cubs today and made the win not matter? It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I'm on the same page there. I'm going to be overweight on Syndergaard. It's not going to be that difficult to be. He's going to have a monster total against him. That's going to be probably over 5. And that's just going to get people off him, which is fine. But I was looking at these numbers just as you were saying that. His hard contact numbers, 21% against lefties and 19% against righties for the season. Is that right? That seems that's got to be lowest in the league. I haven't looked at it on a league level, but that's absurd.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously just a stud. The results haven't been great for DFS, but 10-1, I don't think anybody's going to be on him. And if he's not going to be giving up hard hits in this weather, which he hasn't been really all season, I have no issue playing him at no ownership. So there are strikeouts in this lineup. You've got Baez in there and Schwarber, Contreras, Addison Russell. If he's in there, is he going to be in there? Did I miss something on Russell? Anyways, Happ strikes out a ton if it's not going to be Russell.
No Russell, it's Happ. Well, I mean, I have Happ, but you know what I have, so.
Right. At Lester in there, one of the worst hitting pitchers in the MLB. So there's definitely a path to a bunch of strikeouts if Syndergaard can keep the ball in the yard. Now it's going to be challenging, but you're getting an ownership discount. So I love it.
Yeah, I think I'm locking myself mentally into transitioning a lot of that Strasburg ownership to Syndergaard, especially if he's going to project to be 4%. Like, I'll happily take 12 and just call it a day. I'll have leverage over the field. I'll have leverage on the Cubs bats because the Cubs bats just aren't grading out well for me. Now, if this total comes out at 11.5 instead of 10, the bats are going to look a little bit different. But I prefer the Mets bats to the Cubs bats from a price perspective. I'm not comfortable saying that out loud, but
yeah, Russell's on the DL. I don't know. I think I'm using an old sheet or something. I don't know. I didn't have my lineups updated, so yeah, he's been on the DL for a couple of days. Yeah, Mets bats. Where are you at for them?
So I love them. They're right now 4th on both sites for me. I'm right with the field. They're super chalky. I didn't think they'd be as chalky just because of how bad they've been against lefties this season. 80 weighted runs created plus, 124 ISO, 349 slugging. I mean, it's all real super atrocious. So I was hoping that they would be avoided, and they're not. But they're super cheap and really easy to fit in. It's the right combination of positions at the top of the order. So I really like Rosario, McNeil, Flores, Frazier, Jay Bruce. I mean, Jay Bruce is 2,500 on FanDuel, even in a lefty-lefty spot. I'm going to want to have like a bunch of Mets. I just was hoping to get, a little bit above the field, but it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I just wish they had 1 or 2 more good righty bats like Nimmo and Bruce and McNeil. I know McNeil doesn't really strike out much. In fact, he hasn't struck out against lefties this year, I don't think.
That's
maybe one time. But super small sample, not that matters. But like Flores and Frazier, I really like a lot. I like Rosario a lot. And I just like targeting against Lester. So I was with you. I thought the Mets would be somewhat lower owned. But when you get a total that's going to be 4.5, 5 here, like maybe people are on to Lester not being that good against righties. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people weren't to start the season even lately. So I like the righties against him. I don't target lefties against Lester, but if the lefties are going to be super low owned, I'd gladly roll out a overall low owned stack against John Lester in this weather.
Okay. Are you going to have a lot of Cubs? I mean, I almost didn't get them on FanDuel, which is weird. And then I'm half of the field on DraftKings.
I mean, I'm going to be under the field. I just respect Syndergaard so much. It's not like they have a bunch of speed here, too.
Yeah.
And that's like Syndergaard is terrible at holding on runners. They've got Baez, but looking at just stolen base surface numbers for these guys, there's not a lot of speed. So, I mean, that's just another reason why I'm kind of interested in Syndergaard as a GPP play. And I'm going to be like you, like 10 to 15% somewhere in there, because I'm going to have a bunch of Corbin. I'm going to have a bunch of Tanaka and such, John Gray as well. So it's going to be hard for me to take a huge stand on Syndergaard, but I'm definitely going to be over the field. I honestly don't love the matchup for any of these Cubs if you take out the weather. So I don't know. Who's your favorite Cub? Like Rizzo? It's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably Rizzo. Rizzo or Daniel Murphy. But
yeah,
we're projecting Murphy with 26% ownership on DK, so yeah, probably Rizzo at 12% would be my favorite Cub. Definitely not Wilson Contreras and his 27% ownership hitting 6th.
Yeah. Wilson, he hasn't been that great either. Like, he's just been above average, I guess, on the season against righties. And you throw in the matchup against Syndergaard, 27%, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think everyone's just going to see the huge total for the Cubs, see the wind, and just stack them up, even against Syndergaard, which I think is a little bit of a mistake, or they're going to be over-owned, in my opinion.
Ooh, both the Rockies and Diamondbacks game lines just dropped not too long ago. I was a little under on both, which will make me like Corbin a little bit more. Nope, that's not the right number. Oh, yes it is. Yeah, I like the idea of being underweight on the Cubs tonight, and I like the idea of being overweight on Syndergaard. Not a lot of disagreements today. I don't think we're doing it right.
I know. How are we going to be right tomorrow?
Cody Leach, does the Cubs' hot streak right now play any part with you guys? I know it's not a predictable metric, but curious to know what you think. It does not matter to me at all.
No, it doesn't matter to me either. It's just, it's a good spot, but not as good as the ownership reflects, I don't think.
Yeah, I've just got too much respect for Syndergaard.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe people are on the same page as us, and the Cubs come in at like 12, 15%, something like that. That's a lot more reasonable. But I just, like, Daniel Murphy's going to be over 20. Rizzo's going to be over 20.
Rizzo at 12 right now.
Yeah, I think as the day goes on, though.
I agree.
Everyone's just going to be like, think they're being sneaky, targeting against Syndergaard, and it's just not going to be sneaky with that wind. So Cubs are going to be the chalk. But I like other teams better. So it's just the wind that's making them chalk.
Agreed.
It's not the matchup against Syndergaard.
No, not at all.
So he can make a miss.
Yes, he can. To the A's we go. A's and Astros. A's 3.4 run implied total. Astros 4.6. It's a 63% chance to win for the Stros. Brett Anderson going for Oakland. Garrett Cole going for Houston. Cole, 12,000 on DK, the most expensive pitcher. He's second in cost on FanDuel. Cole is my guy on FanDuel. I've got 44%. Clearly my highest owned pitcher on FanDuel. On DK, I've got 41%. Slightly over the field, my second most owned pitcher. I just really like Cole in this matchup. A's strike out quite a bit. There's not a lot of non-swing and miss left in this lineup outside of Jed Lowry, so I'm going to roll with Cole and pay the 12K. What do you think about Cole?
think I prefer Corbin to Cole. I mean, if Cole's your guy, then by all means, I think it's a fine spot. Maybe not as much strikeout upside as you think. Oakland over the last month, 21.5% K percentage. That's bottom third against righties. 109 WRC plus in that span. They look like a more patient team, just a better overall hitting team. And like you see some of these rates like for Chris Davis and Matt Olson. But then Piscotty, Semien, Lucroy, these guys are all under 20%. It's not like a perfect strikeout matchup for Garrett Cole. So I don't know. I think Corbin's got similar upside. He's going to be lower owned. That's why I'm on Corbin. So no issue with Cole. I'm not going to be targeting against him. But yeah, I think we're just on a little bit different page there.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I'm usually pretty high on Cole one way or the other, so that it doesn't shock me that I am again today. I've got him 3 fantasy points ahead of Corbin on DK and 5 on FanDuel. So I still have some Corbin. I like Corbin. But Cole is my dude at the top.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to be mad if someone's going to play Cole over Corbin. He's at home. It's a really low run total, and there are certainly some strikeouts. But if he's going to be the higher owned guy by a wide margin, then I'll take the Corbin play in GPPs.
I get that. Do you care about the bats at all in this game? Obviously, we're pretty much only talking about the Astros, I guess.
Yeah. So they've got this sick lineup back, and the top 6 look really enticing. I know Anderson has been good, and I don't want to play Houston if they're super chalky, but
they are not.
Because of that Cubs game, we're going to see pretty reasonable ownership. Like if this was April and it was a 7-game slate like this, these guys would all be 20% owned. Am I wrong?
They have the 7th most ownership on both sites.
Yeah, it would be the highest owned, maybe outside of the Cubs.
Yeah, ignoring the Cubs, potential craziness of weather. I think the Astros would have been very heavily owned early in the season.
And not that matters, but I think we're just getting a discount because Houston hasn't been good, but they haven't been healthy. So you put 3 of their best 4 hitters back in the lineup right at the top and get them against a lefty who doesn't really miss bats, but has been decent at limiting hard contact. You get wind blowing out if the roof is open here. It's almost 90 degrees and wind blowing out to left. I don't know how the wind affects the ball in that stadium, but either way, it's hot there, and they're going to put the ball in play, and they're very, very good hitters. So at reasonable ownership, I'm all over the Astros.
All right, time to disagree. Not that I'm disagreeing for any particular reason. I agree with everything you just said. I'm not getting any Astros, though. Basically none on DK and literally none on FanDuel. I would not have expected that. Their price point is fine, but for some reason, they're just not popping up for me. Nobody's coming off the board as like an incredible value. I mean, and I know what the issue is. I know what's causing it. Brett Anderson does not project very well from a DFS strikeout perspective, but Steamer has him in for a 4.3 FIP, and that's really solid. And that, I think, mutes the upside of the Astros in my model right now.
That's fair. I don't think Anderson's just like the worst pitcher in the world, but he has been having success at home, and that's an O.co. This is in Houston. It's way worse weather for pitching. It's just a way better team. Like, I think he was doing this against Texas. Who's the other one? Texas. The Seattle one was impressive. That was at home, though, and he only had 2 strikeouts. Like, the ball is going to be put in play a lot, and I'm going to take the chance that the Astros are squaring him up here because I think he's due for a little bit of regression. Not saying he's the worst pitcher, but definitely due for a little bit of regression here.
Yeah, that's fair. On the surface, the Astros, just looking at them Springer, Bregman, Altuve, Correa stands out against a lefty pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
And we're in agreement. No, nothing on the A's.
Yeah.
To the Rockies we go. Ooh, the total is out at Bet Online. 10 with some heavy juice, so I think we're going to move to 10.5 pretty quickly at some of the other books. So, pretty close.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. Rockies, 4.7 run implied total. Angels, 3.8. 60% chance to win for the Rockies. John Gray going for Colorado. Despagne going for the Angels. Despagne getting a little juice. 17% expected ownership. I did not get there. I'm really not with the pitching in this game the same way the public is. John Gray projected for 29% on DK. I've got less than half of that. Similar story on FanDuel, less than half of the public. And I have a third of Despagne's exposure on DraftKings. So let's talk about pitching here. Are you going to Gray or Despagne? And what do you think of their projected ownership?
Both guys a little bit higher owned than I expected. Kind of surprised about Despagne, but just Gray quickly. So good against both righties and lefties. The couple bats you're scared of are Trout and Ohtani. At least a couple bats I'm scared of. Just run into a lot of bad BABIP luck, and I'm just going to continue to play him. He's a big favorite here on the road in a pretty good park. Like he can strike out anyone when he's on, so I have no issue using Gray at 8,700. Prefer him a ton better than Strasburg, so yes, I'm on Gray. And then Despagne is the guy that I wrote up in Spotlight Pitchers. I was not expecting 17% on him. Kind of what I wrote was that I can't really convince anyone that he's a good pitcher. Like the results look really bad, but he's near mid salary on DraftKings in a really good matchup against Colorado on the road. They have a 79 WRC plus, a 293 on base percentage, 26% K rate almost against righties in 2018. And then I looked at the pitch count. He threw 87 pitches in his last start, 78 the start before that. And if he's able to avoid the early blow up, he's got kind of a floor of 8 to 10 DK points, I would say, and upside for 14 or 15. So there's just a bunch of reasons besides Despagne being a great pitcher that I think he is a good GPP play. Now at 17%, that's why I kind of liked the Hess pivot, because I think they're similar in their projection for me today.
Sure.
So I'll take the one that's going to be lower owned, but I'm definitely going to have a bunch of Despagne as well.
I'd be surprised if I got to much more, but you nailed that 8 to 10 range. I've got him at 9.4. So,
I mean, yeah, would you take that from him right now if you didn't even have to? Like, I would take 9.4 from a $4,100 pitcher on this slate.
I'll take him at 9.4 in the 5% that I have, but I don't want 9.4 at 17%, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I see.
I won't have him anywhere near that much, at least not that I can tell right now. I love the Rockies bats. Pretty like ridiculously on FanDuel, and then just sort of ridiculously on DraftKings. So we're projecting 4% ownership to the Rockies on FanDuel. That's crazy low on today's slate. That's basically unowned. I've got 17. So massive amounts of Cargo, massive amounts of Arenado and Story, tons of David Dahl, tons of Ryan McMahon. I'll have LeMay. I'll have everybody. Basically everybody on FanDuel except for Tony Walters. And then on DK, similar story, but I'm more focused at the top of the order. A little bit less volume at the bottom. But I will have some Tony Walters on DK just because he's a catcher. So, are you with me by any chance? Are you on Team Rockies today?
I mean, I'd like to be there just because 17%, but I don't think Despagne is that bad. Like he pitched his last two starts in Texas and in Arizona. That's much worse hitting environments or much worse pitching environments than what he's getting now. And Colorado, I know you can't look at everything on a team level, but this has basically been the same team the whole year.
Yeah, they're real shit against righties.
Atrocious on the road. Like one of the worst teams in pretty much any metric you look at. Their power goes away, obviously, but even WRC plus 79, that's bottom 5 in the MLB against righties on the road. Like they just don't have it outside of Coors. And WRC plus takes in park factor too.
Yeah.
They're just so bad. I mean, Blackman is fine, but he never comes up as a great value to me, at least not this year. And then Arenado is just a really good hitter. Story hits righties better. So there are some guys I think are fine as leverage plays, but I don't know. I don't think Colorado lights them up here.
I hope they do, judging by the amount of exposure that I have right now. But yeah, 79 weighted runs created plus on the road against right-handed pitching this season is troublesome, to say the least.
It's terrible.
Now, I will note, I don't know what the league average is for right now, so maybe I shouldn't even say it. Let me look at it first. League stats. Where's pitching? 294 BABIP league average. So they have a 281 BABIP on the road against righties. A little bit unlucky. Not that that's going to save them any, but they have been, at like an average rate of isolated power. So they're still showing a little bit of pop when it works. Just not a ton working in the hits game, but I'm just trying to justify it any way that I can. I like the Rockies. I'm going to be over the field, and I hope they pop off because that's most likely my highest leverage point. Yeah, at least on FanDuel, they are my highest leverage point over the field. So, go Rockies on FanDuel.
It makes sense from an ownership standpoint. I don't think it's crazy to stack against them. Like I like stacking against the min salary chalk pitcher.
Yeah.
And he's not like that chalk. You're not getting a huge bump, but 17% is pretty decent on a 7-game slate. But like I'm looking at Colorado, like just anything for me to want to stack them up over the last month against righties, 24% K rate, 312 on base percentage. That's fine. 148 ISO, 73 WRC plus. That's bottom 3. Like I can't stack up that team, even though I like some individual pieces. They've just been so bad against righties really all year, but especially outside of Coors.
Yeah, look, I can't justify it too much after that. They've been really, really bad in that scenario.
So if they pop off, just know that Josh is winning all the money and I am not.
Yeah, FanDuel will be a very good thing for me if the Rockies go for 11 runs tonight. And if the Rockies go for exactly 11 runs tonight, I'm going to pull that soundbite. Diamondbacks and Giants, final game of the day. Diamondbacks, 4.5 run implied total. Giants, 3.4. The 62% chance to win for the D-backs. Pat Corbin going for Arizona. Chris Stratton going for San Francisco. You'll be surprised to know that I have a ton of Chris Stratton. Seems like I never have Chris Stratton. That is a lie. I have him constantly. 4.5 run implied total for the Diamondbacks. I'll take it. Great ballpark. So I'm hoping that Stratton can stay out of trouble. He's the guy that I'm going to the most from a low salary perspective. I would imagine that I have a lot of combinations of Garrett Cole and Stratton. I'm not proud of it, but I'm going to have probably double the field of Chris Stratton today. So let's start with my ridiculousness on Stratton, and then we can get to Corbin.
I mean, I don't think you're ridiculous for playing Stratton. I think he is going to be somewhat overowned because of the park. It's still a decent total against him, 4.6 runs. I actually like a couple Arizona bats here, specifically the righties. So Pollock and Goldschmidt, I think, are really fun GPP plays just because Stratton's giving up nearly 50% hard contact to righties on the season. 347 WOBA. I know we don't use WOBA a lot, but just a reference point there. And then a bunch of line drives. He can strike out righties a little bit above average, but just not very good against them. And like I don't like targeting bats in AT&T, but if Stratton's going to have ownership, then I'll play Goldschmidt and Pollock and hope for some extra base hits. They're just really, really good hitters. I don't even mind going to Peralta or Escobar if you want to full stack it. I don't think Stratton's very good. So that's my Stratton take. And then Corbin just looks incredible to me. Like so consistent as of late. 41% O swing rate, 17.6% swinging strike rate over the last month, striking out at least 7 hitters in his last 6 starts. And then he's 5th in whisper swing in August. Like everything from a plate discipline perspective looks insane, like best in the league over the last month or so.
He hasn't given up a home run since June 16th.
Dude, so we were playing him right at the beginning, or at least I was just going like all in on him his first like 5 or 6 starts, and he was insane. And then he kind of fell off, kind of like Garrett Cole did, and I thought he was just going to regress. But now he looks even better than he was in the beginning of the season, which is kind of insane. So I love him here if he's going to be half the ownership of Strasburg and Garrett Cole and Tanaka too. Like Corbin he's got the most upside, I think, him and Cole. But you get a ownership discount and a better park here for Corbin.
Yeah. Second lowest xFIP for the season among qualified starters for Corbin. Just behind, well, not just behind, he's quite a bit behind Chris Sale, but he's still second.
The dude is insane. His slider, like, just wrecks people. Like, highest whisper swing on the season for the slider by a couple percent. Like, he's not even really close to anyone else.
Okay, so let's think about this from a public perspective. I'm looking at the stats. I have them on the screen. Corbin, second best xFIP, huge K rate, doesn't walk guys, not giving up dongs. Like he's having as good of a season as you could possibly have as Pat Corbin.
Yeah.
Ownership, Garrett Cole, 35%, $12,000 on DK. Corbin, 11,500, 19% ownership. So by all accounts, half. On FanDuel, Cole is $300 cheaper than Corbin and more than double ownership projected. Mm-hmm. Why? What is all signs point to this being a really good spot for Corbin. You can't get much better of a park. So the run total looks good. Giants haven't been great against lefties. What is keeping the public off of Corbin more?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you could argue that Corbin's a better pitcher right now than Cole. I think it's pretty easy to make that argument, but it could go either way. I mean, maybe it's because he's not at home. I don't know.
Is he like notoriously bad on the road?
No, he's fine. It's a great park. Great park.
Yeah, I mean, as good as it's going to get.
There's more scary bats in the Oakland team than there are here for San Francisco in this park.
Corbin on the road this year, 2.86 xFIP. Still striking out almost 11 guys per 9. He does have really hard hit rates.
He does. So does Cole against lefties, though.
Corbin, 43% against lefties, 42% against righties. That's interesting to me. I don't know if there's anything to take from that, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Could it be that Corbin has been blown up? Yeah, I mean, could be. Cole hasn't been like blown up a ton of times. I'm sure Corbin has a handful of times this year, but I'm not really worried about the blow up because like even if he sucks at the beginning, then gets you 20 points, you're not winning anything for 11-5. I'm looking at upside, and I think Corbin has as much upside as Cole here. So it's just a really easy ownership pivot to make.
I think I totally agree with you. I'm not getting to it naturally, but I see no reason why I would want more Cole than Corbin.
Yeah, T McB makes a good point. I think public has been hearing that Corbin was going to turn into a pumpkin again at some point this year. Saw it starting a couple months ago and largely wrote him off. I think I kind of did the same thing, but I think I jumped back on sooner, and I'm obviously glad I did because he's just been nasty as of late. Like the swinging strike rate, these are like Chris Sale numbers. Like he's getting like mid-teens, high teens, like 20% swinging strike rates.
So what changed for him? Here are his K rates in his first 5 years: 19, 21, 22, 19, 22. This year, 31. He jumped his K rate by 10%. 11 per 9 last year, or this year, 8.5 last year. So let's find the difference.
He turned it around last year, like mid-season. Like you could just see in the swinging strike rate. I don't know what he did. He made some sort of adjustment. Like his slider is just nasty. And I know the talk was that he wasn't going to be able to continue to throw the slider at the rate he was, just because your arm's going to give out at some point.
40% sliders, 10% curveballs if we want to get based on this classification. So essentially, he's got a 50-50 mix of fastballs and breaking balls.
Yeah, so that's tough to maintain when you're throwing a power slider like that. But he's done it all season. So, man.
So I remember, this is going to be completely random. I remember reading a while back that there was like the perfect, well, not perfect's not the right word. There's an optimal range of difference between your fastball and an off-speed pitch. There's a certain amount of miles per hour where it tends to be better than, a bigger drop-off. So Corbin's velocity is actually down 1.6 miles per hour on his fastball, but his slider is actually up a tick. So I don't know if that could be part of the issue, but it seems like maybe he calibrated his changing of speeds better. I mean, like, I'm just spitballing here. I don't really know where to land on it, but he's basically turned himself into a very different pitcher this season from a strikeout perspective.
He could be disguising his pitches better. It could be a number of things.
Yeah.
And actually, Adam would probably be a good guy to ask about this, like how all of a sudden he just becomes a better pitcher. He's very good at distinguishing changes in pitchers. So
yeah. I'll hit him up.
Good thing to ask him.
I find this to be really interesting because everything on the surface tells me that I should have more Corbin than I should have Cole.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Cool.
Or even if you're even with them, even if you have whatever 25% of each or whatever, then you're still having more Corbin compared to the field.
Agreed. I wanted to circle back to this. I've talked about it a couple times on the shows, but Tony S in the chat asked it again. Why do you guys not like WOBA? Just curious because most people use WOBA as a major talking point. So WOBA is going to be directionally accurate for you. A guy with a high WOBA is probably a good hitter, and vice versa. It's meant to represent that. But if you look at the formula for WOBA, all you're looking at is essentially a fantasy scoring formula with different weights. Singles are worth 0.9. Doubles are worth 1.2. Triples, 1.6. Homers, 2.0. Now, if you know your fantasy scoring for FanDuel or DK, those are very different weights. Dramatically more weight to a home run in the fantasy sense than there is in a WOBA sense. The WOBA actually underrepresents power hitters in fantasy, comparatively speaking. You would actually want to sort of boost guys up with higher ISOs. So WOBA will work in telling you how someone has been, but it's not a natural relationship with fantasy production because you get different value for your fantasy scoring compared to what you would get from just trying to track baseball. So people don't think about it all that often, but it's essentially just the same way you would get your points from FanDuel with different weights.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, Alex and Tom kind of agree with that. So they use ISO more than WOBA. Not saying that WOBA's bad. I don't think that we're saying you can't use WOBA as a
it's getting you 90% of the way there.
Yeah. I mean, I like to use XWOBA. So yeah, the predictive value. But I don't know that that's even, XWOBA is for a different day.
Yeah.
So T McBee's asking, can we swing through the Cubs quickly now that the lines are up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really change for me. I mean, it's at 10, and that's where we had it. So for me, my analysis is exactly the same.
Worried about Syndergaard, 5.5? That's going to go up, right? These games always get bet up, it seems like.
I don't know. Yeah, like for me, I'm going to have more Mets than Cubs, and I'm going to want to have a little bit of Syndergaard. I'm in the exact same spot I was before. That I hit the line on the dot.
To be clear, you're not on Lester, right?
I am not on. Well, I have 4% Lester, which is the same as the field. So he'll pop up in a couple lines just because it's a 14 game or a 7 game slate, but not at all like important to me.
Yeah. As usual, Team McBee, I'm on righties with power against Lester. I'm of the mindset that he's not a great pitcher against righties, not even really that good of a pitcher against righties. The lefties are tough for me, but Bruce at 3,100, Nimmo randomly 4,900. Did we just like skip past that? 4,900 against a lefty.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't use him. I think I mentioned him in my stacks article. Like the only guy that I don't want is Brandon Nimmo because if he's hitting 6th lefty at 4,900, I'm good.
Yeah, do they have anyone else? Do they have a righty outfielder they can put in there? That would be much preferred. Nimmo's on the DL. He's in the projected lineup. Let's see. You see anything on Nimmo?
He's on a rehab stint. I think he's probably coming back tonight. If that's my guess.
Yeah, he was on the DL. I think this is his first day. Yeah, rehab stint. So they're probably projecting him to come back tonight.
He's eligible to return today.
4,900 is kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's impossible to roster at 4,900 today if he's hitting 6th against the lefty. Well, not impossible. I mean, if you're playing max lines, but he would not be in like a single entry for me.
Yeah, Peter, we talked about the wins. I mean, that's why you're getting a huge total against Syndergaard. But I don't mind Syndergaard and GPPs. I'm going to be well over 5% or 4%, whatever we have him at.
Yeah, I hope that number doesn't go up. Because if Syndergaard gets to like 12, I'm going to lose a little bit of the utility.
Right.
All right, let's take a couple peeks at some stacks. I have my DK stuff up right now. Give me a team to take a look at.
You want to share your screen with me?
I do.
Wait, so it's going to be on this.
Yeah, we're about to find out how this works. So,
all right. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's nice.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. Let's do.
Exciting! I'm glad that this is working well.
Yeah, this is nice. Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah, really. Yeah, give me a team.
Let's try the Yankees.
Yankees.
We not have them.
No Yankees.
All right. Well,
we'll do some Yankee stuff. Oh, this is my rewind from yesterday.
Well, there you go.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that I had at least a couple lines of the Yankees. They were like, I was pretty happy with them.
Yeah, Yankees are on the showdown slate.
Yeah, so this has not been saving my crunches lately, but I'm gonna let it rip, and we'll take a peek. Yeah, I was taking a look back yesterday at, if I could have done anything different to get to the top.
Mm-hmm.
People, use your lineup rewind. Go back and check it out every single day.
Yeah, you have Fantasy Cruncher, definitely.
You don't even need it.
Cool. I've been making the NHL projections and just checking random slates to see how I would have fared. They look pretty good.
Oh yeah,
so,
nice.
Oh yeah. So it's gonna be exciting to have my own projections to work with for NHL.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start taking a look at that.
Huh?
I'm gonna have to start looking at them. I mean, like putting together my own.
Yeah.
That should be an interesting journey, that's for sure. All right, we're almost there. I've got 110 lines. We'll call it good. Yeah, I said lines. People, deal with it.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that on, was that Friday?
I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. All right, so 5-man Yankee stacks. A lot of Cole and Tanaka. which is not something I would have expected, but we're not exactly getting all of the best parts of the Yanks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected to get a lot of Cole and Tanaka. That is a heavy, heavy pitching combo. So let's find one that I think that you would be more likely to be on. Corbin Stratton? Both guys from that game? I don't know.
Double pitcher late night hammer. It's
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm trying to find a good pitching combo for you. Did you like John Gray?
Yeah.
Okay. So I zipped by one of those. And like, I don't think that you like any of the pitching that's popping up here.
It's all right.
Corbin, Gaviglio, Strasburg, somebody. Like, it's a lot of the opposite direction that you were going from a pitching perspective.
I mean, as long as we're getting guys in the same price range, it's going to look the same. You can mix and match.
Very true. And the Yankees are not because I like Cole so much statistically in my model. He's making this look super weird. Tanaka, Strasburg, you can get Smoke, Daniel Murphy, Jason Hayward. Like, I really like that line.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yankees, you're weird. So now I want to hop to the Orioles because that was one that I didn't totally like. And I want to see why it's popping up so much. More of this Cole-Tanaka combo that is just surprising me. Man, you got to... Catching one of the like weird, low-priced, crappy bats is going to be very key today because of the way pricing breaks. Like the weighted average price in our... using our ownership projections for one of the pitchers is $9,000 on DraftKings. That's like significantly higher than it normally is. So we're skewed to a point where it's bringing in a lot more cheap bats. So to get different, paying up for like the Rocky stack on DK could be a way to be significantly different because you'll get a lot different construction just because they're more expensive.
Yeah, the Rockies.
Yeah, I just saw that they had a really high like total team price. That makes the Astros kind of appealing because they're really hard to get to.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to run a very specific crunch for them, but that's not a problem. Crunch out 20 lines of Astros or something. Whoops. Forgot to change the two-man stacks. Why is that happening?
Fantasy Cruncher does not want you to play Astros, apparently.
Why is it only giving me one? What am I missing here? Just the Houston 5-man. I guess I'll pull the other one.
You had it at 100 before. I don't know. Do you have caps on your individual players?
I do. Let's change it. Because I would like to see what the... Okay, now I don't understand.
Do you have caps?
80%.
Should be fine.
Right.
I don't know.
Let's go 100% Astros, I guess. That worked. Sometimes it just needs to like reset itself sometimes. It's so weird. Like an 80% cap should totally work.
Right.
But it's probably my uniques too with the 80% cap. That'll do it. Nope, that's not it. We're having a terrible stream because I'm the worst.
Individual exposures are at 45%. TP says that's what it is.
No, they're at 80 right now.
Oh,
now they're at 100. Anyway, I got it now. It's just it's gonna have Correa and everything. A lot of Tanaka, Stratton for the top three. They're just really hard to fit in, man. Like I like this lineup. 5-man Astros at the top. Danny Jansen, Smoke, and McKinney. I like every part of that lineup on paper. And I like Tanaka and Stratton. So I guess in theory I like that line, but it projects really low for me.
Yeah, a lot of Stratton in there. So I see
I mean, you kind of have to be Stratton or, starting to get into like Despaigne and Hess.
Strasburg, Tanaka. See right there.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any with the cheaper guys. Okay, so there's a Cole, Despaigne, 5-man with Avila, Smoke, and McKinney. I like that.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to take that chance.
For sure.
Corbin Gaviglio, if you can get yourself there.
I'm looking forward to the return of one Chris Bags.
Somebody had to be.
Aren't we all?
It feels weird I haven't talked to him in so long. After talking to him constantly.
He's going to come out firing today.
Oh, so. He's going to be on a heater, I'm sure.
FanVice crew will be surprised, I'm sure. Pleasantly, hopefully.
Yeah.
Chris loves interacting with the chat.
He's a big fan.
Doesn't take any nonsense.
No, he does not. Alrighty, I think that is it. Lots of content coming out today. For the FanVice peeps, Deep Dive will be out today. Still finalizing the schedule for the rest of the audio/video content. Like and subscribe on the video. Check out the daily game plan email. Check out Quick Hits this afternoon. Live stream tonight, myself and Chris Spags. Jake, you got anything else you want to add?
Fun slate. I'll see you guys in the chat with my home run call. So good luck researching, guys.
Oh, one other thing. FanVice. God damn. Playline has finally added CSV imports. So if you were not playing as much on Playline because building lineups by hand was not what you wanted to do, you can now do some importing via CSV. So we're going to take a look at that sometime down the line, but just to let everybody know, if you were trying to get to Playline and you wanted to play more bulk, you'll have the ability to import via CSV now.
Nice.
Yeah. So best of luck, everybody. Have a good day. We're starting off the week great. I'm coming to get some money tonight. I hope Jake is doing the same.
Of course.
See you guys later. Bye.